Thank you, Professor. Good evening, everyone. This is Ilam Kureli, and I'm reporting from India. And I'm going to talk about greenhouse on Habitat Mate presentation dated December 31. I work as a resource associate in SDNX, and I'm from India. You can contact me by the mail I've given here. So to start, so the interior design of basically an interior design of a greenhouse would be with an input and an output. The inputs are basically energy, water, nutrients, CO2, and labor, human labor. And the output will obviously be food production, water, oxygen, and biomass. So the aim of the greenhouse would be to establish a self-sustaining and life-supporting greenhouse habitat for food and oxygen production. So this is a bioregenerative life support system. So once we go to Mars, we have to produce our own food and oxygen either by resources taken from Earth or by ISRU techniques. So what are the parameters we need for a production of oxygen or food or anything that is life sustainable on Mars surface? Is that few methodologies for specific constraints like light. Either it can be produced natural or we can use artificial lightning like light emitting diodes for plant growth because plant requires sunlight for photosynthesis generation. And for temperature, either we can use artificial heat regulation by HVAC systems, and or we can capture the atmospheric energy particles by radiation filter, and this all comes under engineering. And for CO2 generation, that can be obtained from the crew's respiration, or as we know, Mars majority of the surface atmosphere is constituting of carbon dioxide. So by extravehicular activities, we can capture carbon dioxide synthesis in the laboratory, and we can produce CO2 by that means. And for water generation, the water can either be recycled in a greenhouse, or it can be used in extravehicular activities like thawing of polar and subsurface ice from Mars polar caps. For soil generation, either we can use from earth-based utilities, or we can take from extravehicular activities. We can inoculate soil simulants, which can aid in plant growth once we go to Mars in few years. So basically, it is a cycle which follows mainly follows oxygen and carbon dioxide cycling. It basically it is a greenhouse is connected to every part of the habitat, and as you can see, the oxygen released from the greenhouse is circulated to the crew, and then the crew waste is circulated to the bioreactor, and the bioreactor circulates the waste to microbial composter. It is filtered, and carbon dioxide extracted from it is again sent to the greenhouse, and also the carbon dioxide from the respiration of the crew also reaches the greenhouse. And the plant waste, which is obtained from the that is the output of the greenhouse, will again go to the bioreactor. And this cycle is a simple method to know what is happening in a greenhouse and how it aids in production of oxygen and food in a greenhouse. So as for the interior design, I have proposed the first floor and the main area. For the Habitat Matis greenhouse interior area, the area of the circle is 8 meter, and the surface area for 8 meter circle would be 50.3 meter square. And generally, for there should be an entrance, and immediately there will be gym facilities and recreation area in the greenhouse. This vertical wall is for growing vertical growth of plants, and I'm going to explain it in the coming slides. This is a common recreation area. This can be any space utilized by astronauts and crew members from other parts of the stations. And this is a small dormitory with 3 beds, or according to the space, we can accumulate how much number of beds we want. And this is because a person can stay in a greenhouse and take care of the plants 24 by 7. So there is a toilet, and the recreation area and the vertical wall leads to kitchen, because the kitchen can use the herbs or plants from the vertical garden as well. And there is another small entrance which lead to the third floor, and I will explain why I have included that over there. And this is a store shelf for storage of plants and for food. The second floor accumulates the laboratory, So this is a testing place for a lot of testing which is done for plant and soil and seed growth. There's a 3D printer over here, and this is the workspace. It can be used for working purpose, and the storage facilities of our instrument and logistics. This is the entrance, and the storage of seeds would be accumulated over here. This is the electrical unit which supplies energy for the second floor, and the vertical floor it continues in the second floor too. And third floor is for plant growth. This is for short and for large plants. There's a composting space. This can be like it is interconnected. You can see it is there in the first floor. It is connected to second floor and also to the third floor. The composting space is connected to the kitchen because the composting can be done over there with the biomass waste from the kitchen as well as from the waste materials from the plant growth section of the third floor. The sensors used for monitoring the plant growth are fixed here. So this is the entrance. So all the space like completely on the third floor is used for plant growth, and the exterior top surface would be either it will be accumulated for lights, radiation, or screening, and for sunlight purposes. Like all these points will be considered for the third floor's construction in real time. So generally, side view of a three-floor greenhouse habitat will be accumulating all these phenomena: the upper level, middle level, lower level. So basically, it roughly consists of air management systems, the HVAC systems, nutrient delivery, carbon dioxide generation, oxygen generation, utilization of different type of gases, because plants use a lot of other phenomena, and they utilize all different other nutrients for growth. So all those things are in check, and you can see all the three floors are connected to each other. So this is a kind of a cycle which goes in a greenhouse habitat. It accumulates both plants and crew members. System design in a greenhouse habitat and management would consist of cultivation, nutrient delivery system, air management, elimination system, and thermal control system. All the subsystems which aid for in these are water cooling system, air heat exchanger, radiative surface moderation, and estimated crop production. So general requirements for plant growth in earth are sunlight, essential gases, soil composition, and water. It is not big deal over here on earth to be there, even in the space it is not the same scenario. So we have to take up everything whatever the plants go needs to grow, and we can't risk anything once we go inside, and we can't risk anything because gravity. And also Mars has very thin atmosphere, so there is a lot of SCPs and cosmic galactic cosmic radiation GCRs hitting on its surface, and we have to get plants into a shielding from radiation and all the SCPs, or else they won't get the essential sunlight to synthesize photosynthesis. So radiation shielding is very important, and sunlight, air, and other things. So apply, what are the apply technologies? The machines necessary for the operation and installation are basically they would be biotechnology for plant growth and health, for plant hybriding and seed cultivation, for microbiology, microanalysis, and microorganism assist, that is chemosynthesis, nitrogen fixation, soil microbiome, etc. Bioinformatics for germplasm, seed vault. I mean, selection of seeds and DNA assessment of plants once they are growing over there, and data analytics, that is wireless communication, storage of plant data, etc. Engineering for HVAC systems, hydroponics, aeroponics, sensors, pressure regulation, temperature control module development, etc. Nutrient and water storage delivery system, which is very essential for a plant growth. 3D printing is essential in a greenhouse because it aids in a lot of development of technologies like lab grown meat, the shells on which the plants or stored or grown plants basis. The operations, it would be sample preparation and the exposure condition of the plants, survival assessments like cultivation test once they're grown over there, and then after the plants have grown, they have accustomed to the environment, the artificial environment on a Mars surface, they have to be tested for any damage in DNA or in their embryo or their reproductive abilities. So it is very important that we test their integrity of DNA, and that is why periodic tests have to be done for any plant growth. And these are the tests I've given over here. Also the shelf life of any plants, and how much they lead, the rearing of the plants and the food production may not be equal, so they have to be equalized in a step by step manner. We can't achieve it initially, but in a step by step manner we have to achieve it. And also the different types of gases, and there are a lot of nutrients which plants use for growth, and all that should be given in a correct ratio for a plant growth. So this is a climate and crop monitoring control information. That is what it takes over is that accusation monitoring and continuous control for operations, plant health and growth, and non-invasive and autonomous system. This is an astroculture growth chamber, as you can see. So this is one of a working apparatus for plant growth in space. Also, there is another thing like machine vision guided monitoring and evaluation system. So this basically evaluates it is a camera system which evaluates the crops growth by infrared lightning, like capturing it in infrared lightning, and it evaluates the amount of chemosynthesis it undergoes, and the amount of different kinds of nutrients it takes up. Also, it helps in crop morphology and vegetation indices. So this is bioinformatics for germplasm and DNA extraction. How bioinformatics helps in these techniques is that so basically, once we grow plants in space, we have to extract DNA, and it is done into a process called sequencing. And then they are stored. This is to understand that whether the plant is able to reproduce efficiently as it has done on Earth. So as you can see, this is a seed vault which is present on Earth. This is on Svalbard, Norway. In this, there is like every possible seeds obtained from Earth. It is stored over here. So we'll create something similar to this on Mars maybe one day. Collect all the viable seeds which were able to grow efficiently on the surface of Mars and store them over there. This is very important because by that way we don't run out of the only viable source of growing plants, that is the seeds. So this is one of the test, seed moisture test, which is essential to test the humidity and the moisture content of the seed, so that way they don't dry out, and they have the amount of water which they are supposed to have. So this is generally a system which are connected in greenhouse habitat. You can see there are sensors, control relays, power switches. There is a system which for data analytics and nutrient sensors. These are, and injection pipes. This is a nutrient storage tank. So these can be control system basically for greenhouse. So it has to like run in a connected manner, so that there is efficient growth of plants. So all these sensors and all these techniques can aid in efficient plant growth in a greenhouse habitat. So this is a HVAC system. It generally it provides heating, proper amount of heating and ventilation for plant growth. It is also a kind of cycle. Phenomena is conduction, convection, radiation. There are factors affecting heat loss and heat loss calculations, minimum design temperatures, and other heating systems, design concentrations. So you can see in this picture, there is a cycle going on over here. So the HVAC system uses heating from inside of the habitat, and it takes into consideration the heating which is present of which seeps into the greenhouse habitat also. So yeah, you can see in this there is a circulation of air from the greenhouse into the habitat. I mean into the the place where the crew is positioned. So in ventilation, you can use fans, pressure fans, exhaust fans, and different types of coolings like evaporative mist cooling. And all this aids into efficient plant growth. Technologies we follow inside a greenhouse for efficient plant growth. This is a hydroponic systems because we have covered like the like seed, what are the control systems, and how is heat and ventilation aids in plant growth. So obviously water is very important, and the nutrients which plants require is very important for efficient plant growth. So for that we can use a hydroponic system because it uses less amount of water, and water is a major constraint in space farming. And water and nutrients are constantly supplied to the root nutrient. So this way you can monitor their efficient growth. So this can you can see all these are is because Mars's soil contains water molecules like they are trapped in polar caps or they are in subsurface, and carbon dioxide is abundant on Mars. So most of the resources can be produced from the Martian atmosphere or Martian subsurface. Some of them are soil collection. So all these links are very interesting papers and videos which deal with the specific topics which I've given over here. So Martian soil, we have already created Martian soil simulants and like same composition on Earth. So we are kind of familiar to what Mars soil contains. So we can take Martian soil after we establish a habitat over there, and it can be treated for any microbes or any other like components in it for plant growth. And seed sampling is whatever the seeds we take from Earth, whether they are viable on Mars. And once the plants grow over there, the seeds which are viable will be used for the future use. And microorganisms cultivation. Microorganisms are very essential for any plant growth. As we see on Earth, agriculture is mostly aided by microorganisms or small organisms like earthworms, etc., which aid in aeration in the soil and composting, etc. So that will help in Mars also. So microorganisms like bacteria, archaea, and like worms, they can help in soil growth even in Mars. So they can be researched. Fungi and microalgae for biofuel and plant growth. So fungi and other microorganisms like cyanobacteria, they tend to help us in assisting plant growth. So a plant on itself, maybe it takes time to grow, but when it is aided by microorganisms or any other species like eukaryotes, like fungi or microalgae, they can like assist in faster plant growth. And it is also organic. It doesn't have any other side effects. We can test this and we can grow. So this is a very interesting paper which deals with fungi and algae, like assisting in plant growth. Heat production. So we know that Mars's atmosphere, it also has heat energy. So we can either we can put radiation filter for the radiation which enters the Mars surface, and we can grab the sunlight, and we can produce solar energy from Mars with various techniques. And energy production, we know that there is dust storms on Mars, and they can be utilized for wind energy on Mars, and it can be used for engineering facilities, main station, and there are a lot of other facilities which can use solar energy. Like we can use solar panels for capturing solar energy and using it for energy purposes. Water extraction, as I told, we can extract it from polar caps by EVA methods. And heat treatment is that we all know that Mars's surface has clay deposits. There is a technique called clay heat treatment, which when supplied with heat, the clay dries up and loose soil is obtained. So we can obtain water extraction from that, and we can also obtain soil from that for plant growth. CO2 capture and treatment from Mars. So as I told, we can capture CO2 from the atmosphere of Mars to for plant growth and other purposes. You can see this is a technique for O2 production, and this is a CO2 cycle. This is a compost by which we can produce like organic material which aid in plant growth and CO2 production. Resources transported from Earth would be engineering facilities like sensors and a lot of other things for hydroponics and aquaponics. Um, Construction materials for like external construction materials, solar panels, etc., will be transported from Earth. Plant seeds, obviously, initially we have to take seeds from Earth for plant growth. Soil simulants and backup soil. When we run out of soil and if the techniques won't work out, we have to have backup soil and microorganisms which can aid. I mean, we can put them in a static mode and chassis mode, and we can we can make use of them. So this is one kind of bacteria which produces oxygen itself. This is a cyanobacteria, and this is some many billions of years old, like 2.5 billions back. We have found record that cyanobacteria has been living on Earth. So these kind of bacteria are kind of peculiar because they tend to give out oxygen. They utilize CO2, methane, and they give out oxygen. So I think if we look deeply into eukaryotes and other microorganisms like cyanobacteria and different other bacteria which thrive in extreme temperatures or which have proven record of traveling in outer space, we can put them into use for like helping humans for establishing habitats on space. So one such example is cyanobacteria, and these papers deal with like examples of how bacteria can help in plant growth or other oxygen production on Mars. This is an example like how different types of fungi assist in plant growth. And this is how this is a picture which shows how microorganisms and micronutrients help in like effective plant growth. How does a greenhouse is managed is like there is a greenhouse chief under whom an assistant works, and another assistant, three people, the researcher, maintenance engineer, and a chef works basically. So their position, profile, and duties would be the chief is someone who has a good knowledge in astrobotany, agricultural sciences, horticulture, agronomy, and their basic duties would be to check the overall protocols happening in the greenhouse center and managing of the crew and routine checks for their works. An assistant who works under the chief would be a person with knowledge in biological sciences, chemical sciences, engineering, agricultural, geological sciences. So they perform together with the chief, they perform the extravehicular activities and intravehicular activities. They report to the chief. They look after the food rationing. They check the water quality, the sensors which aid in water quality and other pressure regulations, the amount of food and water supply for the crew. So under them, a researcher who is well versed in any biological sciences, geological sciences, and astrobiology. So what they do basically is they take care of the plant health, the nutrient and biomass generation, gene research, microbiome research, seed sampling, and etc. A chef is a person who knows to cook, and their duties would be to check whether sufficient amount of food is present for the crew, a menu for the day, resources for cooking, and it also take care of the composting, because the waste materials are obtained from the kitchen, like organic waste materials are obtained from the kitchen, and they can be transported for the top floor of the greenhouse for plant growth. Maintenance engineer is someone with electrical knowledge and instrumentation knowledge in engineering, who basically tests the equipments, repair the failed instruments, and take care of the structural damage of the uh, plant growth equipments. So these are some of the images which are obtained from analog research sites from Earth. So astronaut training programs. On what topics should an astronaut be trained when he or she works in a greenhouse habitat? Is that you have to know about rearing and caring for plants. Also, everyone can aid in cooking, and since we don't have means of taking animals to space now. So we can learn cooking, which are mostly vegan, and try to adapt it to those ways. It can be applied on Earth too. Use of phytotherapy and indigenous medicine. ISRU resources of Martian utilities, instrumentation and engineering in greenhouse facility, and growing meat in space like 3D printing or lab grown meat, etc. So these are some of the videos which aid in astronaut training on the respective topics. So resources needed for a 1 week schedule in a greenhouse would be for a person. The water consumption for per day is 3 liters, and for a food for a person for a day is 2.5 kg. And oxygen consumption, it goes up to 11,000 liters per day for a person. So for a crew which consists of five, like 2 members for 5 days, is water required would be 30 liters. Food would be 25 kgs, and oxygen generation would be 110,000 liters. So as we see, oxygen is very important as food and water. So the two major components, food and oxygen, are produced in the greenhouse. So I think greenhouse is one of the most important station in space habitat. So any greenhouse which is established would have to produce and produce resources up to this amount. What are the guidelines to be provided to other facilities or any whole station from a greenhouse? Would be for an engineering facility, any instruments to be prepared and equipments like sensors, pipes, tubes, etc. Energy supply from the greenhouse, and also greenhouse has storage facilities which can be utilized by engineering facility, and also the other facilities. To a main station, a greenhouse supplies power, oxygen, and also it constitutes of recreational area which can be fused with the main station. And a sanitation station, greenhouse aids in biomass production, composting, water recycling, and also to the CO2 generation and supply. For a kitchen, obviously the greenhouse supplies the food and the fresh vegetables, fruits, waste management, and also a composting area. Also, the nutrient and O2 supply is also given from the greenhouse establishment. So, the what are the extravehicular activities which aid in greenhouse management is that soil microbiome, soil sampling, lab testing, clay treatment, and water accumulation and treatment techniques. This all helps in efficient plant growth. So the protocols followed in the facility would be some protocols are to maintenance of the heat and ventilation, air conditioning. They should take care of air recirculation operation, heating unit, ventilation regulation, etc. So you can see there are fans present, and air temperature. You can see the air temperatures are rising, and there is a water pump, and it goes to the environment and to the greenhouse over here. It also supplies to the habitat. It is kind of a cycle, and this is some a very basic example of how a HVAC system works. Some other protocols will be for pressure regulations, for sensor checks, for wastewater management, that is like poisoning or wastewater mixing with consumables. It has to be under check. And other protocols are for leakage of water and leakage of gas in nutrient supply system. There is also a protocol for oxygen level and biomass generation. So another thing is the management of plant selection, disposal, and sustainable usage of plants. Protocols for contamination, that is any extravehicular activity leading to accumulation of any soil or water they are bringing into the habitat that doesn't contain any microbes which can lead to the, like, it can put the crew's life in jeopardy. So that has to be stopped, and that is a protocol for contamination, either forward or backward. Other protocols for safety or intrusion of wastewater, that is wastewater shouldn't intrude into drinking water or other feasible water facilities. Leakage of CO2 into the habitat, a run out of food rationing. So this is very important, and it has to be kept under check, or else it can lead to a lot of disadvantages in functioning of the crew. Virus and bacterial contamination, as I told, there should never be a forward or backward contamination, and the crew has to be sterilized either in confinement, or everybody should be sterilized. We are a living example that how a virus spread can be lethal to in a global scale. So it is very important to consider health issues due to food. We have to keep in mind that the food what we issue in a habitat is good for every crew members, and it is suitable for every crew members to consume. Health issues due to food, that comes in health issues due to food. Microbial overgrowth, either in the greenhouse habitat or any other places, that has to be kept under check. Proper soil treatment, proper disposal of waste items. The proper disposal of waste items should be a concern for each crew member. It should not be put under one person. So this is a matter of personal hygiene and sanitation too. So everybody should take care of how the waste is disposed, and it can be kept under check. Protocols for occupancy and entertainment. Also, everybody can come in for renovation and food menu. Like they can have new innovative techniques for food production, and they can also take up rotational cooking, like cooking, like one person can cook, and they can take turns for cooking. Learning of phytotherapy and usage of respective indigenous medicines. So, as we know, crew consists of people from different backgrounds. So, to enhance crew to like conversation, and also to promote their indigenous ways, each astronaut can come up with their own medicinal um, usage from their own geographical background, and also they can put their innovative techniques to come up with any medicinal remedies for any ailments which they find interesting, and usage of recreational plants for decorative and calming purposes. So this is some kind of thing which can be done very well in a greenhouse. That is like recreational plants like lavender. There are also recreation plants which can be grown for decorative purposes, and they can also be used in calming properties like making tea, etc. Protocols for food microproduction would be one such example is algae microproduction for plant growth and biodiesel production. And other one is like small plants such as basil, lavender, mint, etc. They can be used for their calming properties and recreational uses. And mint and basil can be used in greatly for additive purposes in food, and also in other things like tea, coffee, etc. Um, Lab grown meat as food supplement and change of daily menu. So this is some kind of recreational activity to encourage astronauts to get more involved, change of daily menu and etc. Like those kind of things. Plants that can be consumed raw, example basil, carrot, onion, those can be encouraged to grow in a greenhouse because they don't have to be cooked. It saves time, and it also helps in food microproduction. Some of the things that can be 3D printed in a greenhouse can be plant containers, that is the holders, the jars, the bases, small shovels, clippers for plant rearing and plant rearing tools, pipes. Also, another innovative thinking is thermometer. I don't know how that works in 3D printing, and let's try it out. Some of the spin-offs and daily technologies that on outputs that could be applied to Earth are, so basically these are the methods followed in a greenhouse. So all these things are available on Earth. It means that we can construct our own greenhouse every on everybody's terrace. So solar energy, and inner climate, the plant control. The plant growth control, watching the soil parameters and watering the soil, monitoring the outer environment by using sensors, an integrated controller, a wireless communication. So all these things are easily available on Earth, and it is a very feasible solution to construct greenhouse on everybody's terrace. It helps in a lot of ways to everyone, starting from a local to a global environment. So I think this is a very sustainable and feasible solution, which will it stands out when it comes to sustainable growth and very good future. Some of the technologies and outputs that will be applied to Earth. Another example is the drip irrigation for arid and semi-arid mountainous regions. So this is the place called Salem from India. As you can see, they are in a very arid region, mountainous region. It is very dry, so they use drip irrigation for every kind of plantation. So um, uh, this is a place I visited, and the advantages of using drip irrigation would be it uses precise amount of water and it doesn't waste water. So every plant can be monitored for their plant growth. It saves money. It is very least amount for any plant growth, and it results in less weeding. So we know that for crops like rice and wheat, we have to take weeds because those plants have like a lot of water. They have to take up a lot of water, and it leads to growth of weed. But through drip irrigation, we can only supply water to the roots of specific plants. By that way, there will be no excess growth of weeds. So this saves time, this saves energy, this also saves money. So this is a very feasible solution for agriculture in dry areas, and it also can be used in wet areas, because it like this is a very good solution for agriculture and plant growth. So these are some guidance to be applied for daily life, which I consider important, or cultivation of medicinal plants, like usage of Siddha or Ayurveda or your own indigenous medicine. So what can be done on a daily basis is that you can follow your traditional and indigenous methods to treat ailments and maintaining the overall health. And you can infuse your medicinal properties in your daily food. By that way, you can stop any ailment which is going to occur in future. So and also you should make awareness of your ancestral medicinal practices among mass. You can also grow indigenous plants in the backyard or on the terrace. So you can see a picture over here. In India, we call it Siddha and Ayurveda. So he's preparing a medicine from crops and plants, flowers obtained from the local plants, hibiscus, ginger, turmeric, etc. So this can be encouraged in every part of the world. And organic composting. So this can be done either in terrace or in areas where there is space. So you can see the organic composting consists of items from daily food usage, that is eggshells and like leftovers of plants and fruits. So what we can do is we can take any container, like old container, we can line it up with organic soil and waste materials from the daily food usage, and that turns into a very good composting for plant growth. So this is a very sustainable solution, and I think it is high time everyone start to follow this. So the advantages of this would be growing your own food on your terrace. You don't have to depend on other big companies. And local entrepreneurship, it supports the local farmers, and you can also start your own entrepreneurship. Some of the SDGs which greenhouses are considered are no poverty, zero hunger, good health, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry innovation and infrastructure, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption, climate action, and partnership for goals. But with few other additions and little more enhancement, I think greenhouses would constitute like 17 points of the SDGs in future. So this is a technique which involves all the other techniques, even in a space habitat or on Earth. So this is like a very sustainable solution, and it can turn into a future for a very good future. So these are the references what I took, and this will be the personal contact, and you can contact me by this way if you have any doubt. Thank you so much for listening.